scene change here. I had to move a little further over because I was next to this 2-lane highway and these diesel trucks are just blasting by. Can't even hear myself think. Hey friends, welcome back. I am currently in Whitefish, Montana, as you can totally see right now. I could be in my parents' backyard in LA and you guys wouldn't know. Wow. What is that beeping? Let's talk about today's video, which is going to be a little summary of the FPV drone that I fly/have started with, which is the Tiny Hawk Freestyle 2. I just wanted to go over a few thoughts that I had concerning things that I find might be relevant to you guys if you're interested in jumping into this new world of cinematic flying. So I came up with 5 key ingredients that, it's like we're baking a cake. 5 things that I was looking for in a drone that would allow me to have the best learning experience as well as growing experience. I wanted a drone that would allow me to jump into the world of FPV without overwhelming me with the technical side of things. When I first saw a cinematic FPV video back in, I want to say like 2016 now, it was amazing. I was hooked right away. I wanted to do it. I knew that. But there was not a lot of information out there. The only things I could find were kind of shoddy YouTube videos explaining how to build this drone from scratch. And the amount of hours I spent trying to research and figure out how I could do this kind of overwhelmed me, and I lost interest in ever wanting to learn how to fly those simply because the information was not out there. Fast forward a few years, they now have these drones called bind and fly, which eliminate the whole building half of the FPV hobby. These little drones either come as part of a kit, they come with a set of goggles and a controller. All you have to do is pull it out of the box, and generally the drone is paired with the remote. You can pretty much just start flying right away. Or you have the ones that are ready to bind and fly. Now these guys don't generally come with a remote or goggles, but they're pre-built. They're ready to go. All you have to do is bind them to your remote and you're ready to fly. So both very simple and relatively cheap. Quality number 2 that I was looking for in a starter drone. I wanted one that was durable. I wanted to be able to not have to replace parts every single time I crashed.
No problem, you alright? For a second I thought I was going to get caught in my hair. I'm like, there is no hair.
This little guy has done a fantastic job of surviving. These are actually still the first set of props that I have put on this thing. And they're pretty tattered, to be honest. I should probably spend some time maintaining this a little bit better. I've crashed and bent props and I kind of just bend them back. I'm sure there are plenty others that are similarly rigid. This one specifically has done a fantastic job of not breaking on me and continuing to work as intended. Along with that, I didn't want to get one that was too expensive as a starter because I didn't want to pay a premium to replace things or replace the whole thing if I just dropped it in water or something like that. This one comes in at about $420. Which is not the cheapest drone, but in terms of longevity and having the ability to continue to perform pretty well, it's not the most expensive buy-in. Next point, I wanted a drone that I could grow into. By that, I mean, I wanted one that was not super difficult to fly in terms of power, but I also didn't want it to be so weak that I would get bored of it really quickly. The Tiny Hawk 2 Freestyle is just that. It has allowed me to learn the basics of flight and manual control, but it's also quite zippy. It's let me do some low-level acrobatic freestyle, hence the name Tiny Hawk 2 freestyle. It does have enough power to do things like flips and rolls and tight maneuvers, and I continue to use it for shots in tighter spaces. The only areas that I kind of find limited by this drone are the range and ability to hold a little action camera. Now, I know these are tiny drones and they're more or less toys. They're not intended to be these professional FPV systems that can fly miles and film in 9K or whatever we're at now. But it would be nice if the range was just a little bit further. I could only make it about 500 feet from where I was sitting before my goggles started crapping out on me. The other would be its ability to hold a little action camera. Now, I know these things are really not intended to hold anything besides their own weight in the air, but I have been able to throw on a little Insta360 Go, and that actually is the next point, the camera. The built-in cameras to these FPV drones, the analog ones specifically, are not intended to capture footage by any means. They are meant to give you the lowest latency when you are flying, so that as you're flying fast, you can react to things that pop up quickly. And that's about it. It's for you to see where you are going. So me delving into this world of FPV, the area that I wanted to go into specifically was not so much racing or freestyle, but it was more the cinematic stuff. Even though it barely checked the box, the Tiny Hawk 2 Freestyle did check it in terms of allowing me to carry an action camera that was good enough to get little clips here and there, and it flies pretty well. Actually, the footage you saw earlier was with that. Now, I'm not here to make a review about this, but this guy is great, and it's about a third the size of a GoPro and records some pretty fantastic footage for being what it is. Lastly, on my list of 5 key things, I just realized is not a key thing at all. Why not just get the DJI FPV drone? Why start with something like this instead? And honestly, it's just a summary of everything else. It's smaller than the DJI drone. It's lighter. It can take heavier beatings. It's easier to repair. Yes, the DJI drone has a better camera. Everything is integrated better. But in terms of making adjustments and tweaking things, you're not really able to do with the DJI drone. In terms of learning and not being afraid to push the limits of your drone, I think starting with something small like the Tiny Hawk is more beneficial to your flying long term. Anyways, that about wraps it up. Thank you for joining, friends. I hope this talk was not as loud as it seems like it is to me. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments. I will do my best to get back to you with any limited knowledge that I have. And I think I'm going to do a few other talks on drone things. Stay tuned. Until next time. 2.